بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh everyone, and welcome to Tafseer Surah An-Naml. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our sins of our shuyukh, our parents, our beloved ones, and may Allah grant us a tawfiq so we can benefit from this lesson. So last lesson we started from ayah 25, Surah An-Naml, and we learned the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أَلَّا يَسْجُدُوا لِلَّهِ الَّذِي يُخْرِجُ الْخَبَأَ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَيَعْلَمُ مَا تُخْفُونَ وَمَا تُعْلِنُونَ. And we focused in more about the sajda tilawa and the ahkam of that. Then we went to the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa rabbul arshil azim. The reason of mentioning the Allahu la ilaha illa hu, that's teaching the tawheed, and that is the meaning of a sujood. When you prostrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you believing in Him and you establishing the tawheed, worshipping Allah alone. And then that's the meaning of the word La ilaha illallah, as we showed last week. We learned that. That's the meaning of Tawheed al-Ibadah, the establishing the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your actions. So when you worship the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then adding into this ayah, Huwa Rabbul Arshil Azim. We did mention that the reason of mentioning Rabbul Arshil Azim, describing the Al-Arsh, the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Azim, because the Al-Hudhud, when he returned, he said, وَلَهَا عَرْشٌ عَظِيمٌ. He was amazed with the arsh of the queen of Saba, and as the Mufassirun mentioned, her name was Bilqis. The Quran did not mention her name as Bilqis. This is all from the statements of the commentators. So I think we stopped in the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa rabbul arshil azim. Okay, we'll start with we learned some fawaid, some points related to both ayat. So you can revise them. Now, the following ayah 27, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قَالَ سَنَنظُرُ أَصَدَقْتَ أَمْ كُنْتَ مِنَ الْكَاذِبِينَ. This statement is from Sulaiman alayhi salam, when the previous statement was from Al-Hudhud, the bird, when he returned back. If you remember the story, we said Sulaiman, he made his judgment. He said, لَأُقَتِّلَنَّهُ أَوْ لَأُعَذِّبَنَّهُ أَوْ لَيَأْتِيَنِّي بِسُلْطَانٍ مُبِينٍ. So either I will kill him, or I will torture him, or he's got the chance to come back with an excuse that why he was absent. And this is the bird. In the attendance, you could say, in taking the register of the attendance when they met in front of Sulaiman. And Sulaiman, in the longest story, as we said in the previous lesson, that he was in the army going out for a battle, and Al-Hudhud was absent. So this is all related to the story. And Al-Hudhud returned back after he saw and he found the empire of Saba. And Sulaiman himself, although Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said he was giving the great power and he was the great king, but he did not know about the kingdom of Saba at that time. So Sulaiman, after he was informed by the information from the Al-Hudhud, he said, قَالَ سَنَنظُرُ أَصَدَقْتَ أَمْ كُنْتَ مِنَ الْكَاذِبِينَ. قَالَ, as we said in the previous lesson Wednesday, whenever you see the word qala, again I'm going to remind you, because it will come later on, something related to Allah, and that is more serious in there. Whenever you see the word qala, you need to remember the qala means he said or said. When you have a statement of said, qala in the past tense, present tense, or imperative tense, you need to remember the one who said the statement, what the statement was, and to whom it was said. So really, the one who's receiving the statement, it was said to the people, to the Muslims, to the Al-Hudhud in here, the one who said it and what was said. So the one who said the statement was Sulaiman alayhi salam. Of course, as I said last lesson, although was said by Sulaiman, Allah narrating, mentioning that to us. So it's all from the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we read that from the Quran. That's all the saying of Allah was said to Jibreel. Jibreel came down to Muhammad sallam and told him about that. So they're all the statements of Allah. But originally is a statement of Sulaiman. He said that. Qala, that's Sulaiman. He said it to who? He said it to regarding to Al-Hudhud. Sananzur asadaqta. See the word sadaqta, I'll come to that. Kunta, kunta, sadaqta. The ta at the end of these two words with the fatha is a second person singular pronoun. You means you are addressing a person in front of you, and that person is a masculine and he is a singular. That's the sign of the ta to show you. Asadaqta, he's referring to al-hudhud. And showing to you al-hudhud was a male bird in here. And some scholars saying, well, when they use this for the animals, doesn't matter whether male or female, but having a ta at the end, he did not say asadaqti. If it was a female, he would say sadaqti am kunti. Asadaqta am kunta. And that's both. It shows that that hudhud was a male hudhud and he was a singular one, and he's addressing the statement was said to him, although it was in the meeting of the other people of the army of Sulaiman. He said it in front of all of them. What did he say to him? He said this statement, Sanandur asadaqta am kunta min al-kadhibin. What does that mean? Sanandur, we will make another. Another, sanandur is a verb, came from the word another. And another, I know generally maybe you in Urdu you're saying nazar, not nazar, that means the evil eye. But it is from the same thing. Another can be by using your sight, by to look into something, to observe it, to look and to ponder and see deep in a deep way. And that is another. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانظُرُوا. Allah said to us in the Quran, go on this land, فَانظُرُوا. Observe and ponder on the creation of Allah, what Allah created for you. And that is to increase your iman, to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, to believe that Allah is the great, and all of this universe was created, was designed by a creator. It's not by a mistake or the nature made it. And that's a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran in many places. So the word another is similar to that, another. So sanandur comes from the word another, and another are two meanings for it in the language of the Arab. By using your own eyes, by observing and looking careful, deep way, and that's another. And also another can be by your heart. And that is, we call another ilmi, another basari. In Sharia, or in Arabic as well, we say another basari, or using your normal eyes to see something, or using your heart, meaning that the meaning here means that you are aware of something, you have ilm, you have a certainty about it. So you are sure about it, and that is believing in something. It's called nazar. Here, قال سننظر, the ulama of tafsir, they said, Sulaiman said, we will look into what you said. We will observe it, we will think about it. So that's what he said, Sulaiman, to the al-hudhud. So nanzur, what is nazar of Sulaiman? What is that observing and checking of the Sulaiman? There are two cases, there are two situations for al-hudhud. We don't have a third one. It might be a third one, but even if I'll tell you about the third case, it's either you are honest and truthful of what you said the true information, or you are lying. And that's a lie and false information. So two situations. The third one, he will mix between them. But when you mix between the al-haq and al-batil, between sidq, the true, and the false, he will be counted false as well in Sharia. You will be counted sinful in Sharia. Even if you are saying, oh, I just said few sentences which is false and the rest was all true. You in Sharia, you still counted as someone who lied. And so these are three cases or two cases that Sulaiman gave them to al-hudhud. He said, قال سننظر أصدقت. We will look into your case, whether you are the statement, what you said is true, أم كنت من الكاذبين, or you were one of those who are lying. And of course, he was, in what he said, it was all true. He did not lie to him. What is a sidq? A sadaqta. What is a sidq? Anyone can define for me a sidq? A sidq, when you say a statement, now talking about a sidq in phrases, in statements, not a sidq in your action. There is a sidq in your action, and there is sidq generally in Arabic language in Sharia. When you use the word sidq, we refer to the statement, what you say to the people. What you say with the reality outside, they are matching. They are same. So what you say, the statement is in reality is matches with what you said. The reality matches with the statement you said it, or what you said, it matches with the reality as outside. So I'm saying to you, in this class, there are 5 sisters. I said sidq because my statement matches with the reality. There are 5 in here. If you say something and in reality outside is not matching, that will be counted kadhib. And that's the opposite. Al-kadhib is a statement, when you say it, it doesn't match. It doesn't really exactly as it is outside in reality in life. So you're saying, I went for Umrah, but the reality, I didn't go for Umrah. So this is a statement of lie. So this is a kadhib and will be written. It will be written. Your niyyah, I mean this, I mean that, that's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to remember, brothers and sisters, humans ask, we judge each other with what we see in life. The intentions and what you have inside the heart, that's not for us, that's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if there is a sin committed, and if there is a judge there, wants to look into, like Sulaiman, he's a judge now for he's a responsible person for all his empire, all his ummah, his great ummah of Sulaiman at that time. He was the king of the kings. He was really great king in the whole universe. They're saying that the whole earth, there's no kings like 4 of them, the 4 famous kings. One of them is Sulaiman alayhi salam. He's a Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he had that responsibility to judge the al-hudhud. So what I'm saying in here, if we have a ruler who's going to judge a case in there, and a case of a divorce, a case of a dispute in a family, of whatever in there, someone say, oh, my intention was this and that. I can't look at your intention. No one will look into that between the humans, between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Intention will be valid in us when we see factors outside are supporting and showing, yes, the intention is close into that, because there is that factor, and that we call qarina in Sharia. So there's that factor and that factor supporting what he claimed or what she claimed of that intention. Otherwise, we have to look into the actions, what it was said, what it was done, and that's what Allah commanded us to do. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about those who are very well in the way how they speak. He said, when I make a judgment, I make a judgment based on what I hear. And may one of you is very well spoken person, and I will make a judgment of that person because he made the case very strong, but he will have his punishment in Yawm al-Qiyam when he meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Although Rasulullah when he makes the ahkam, all the ahkam of Rasulullah are correct and valid, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not allow his prophet to make a hukum, a ruling in the dunya, in life while he was living, and will be false, will be wrong. And that is impossible. So قال سننظر أصدقت أم كنت من الكاذبين. So the 2 situations, صدق or كذب. الصدق is one of the الصدق and الكذب is amongst the qualities that known from the beginning, the start of the humans. The humans, Adam alayhi salam, from that time. You know, you study, especially those who are born and brought up in this country, and they learn, maybe you hear that from your children, that the humans went through stages and cases, really different stages in this, living in this, on this earth. And where the human, they start, they were maybe naked, and they covering only their aura, and they're not civilized people and all of that. Think about Adam alayhi salam, and how he used to live in Jannah. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him down into the earth with Hawa, and then they have their children, they got married, and all of that. Are you saying that to me? I'm just trying to indicate to something, and I know the conversation about Islam. Are you going to claim or saying to me that Adam was not a civilized person? If you say that, you need to be what you watch your tongue and what you say in this, because you are insulting a Nabi, and insulting a Nabi is an act of kufr. You have to be very careful with that. So these theories that you know them and you study them or you watch them as well. I mean, I can't tell you what is that movie, which is a cartoon, Ice, what called Ice Age. It was, yeah. You need to study what is a nice movie, it's a nice thing. You watch it. I watched it. I know what is in there. I watch for the reason to see what is in there. Because you see that the writer, go and read what the writer intended from that. Go and see the writer is a practicing Christian, and you see the idea behind it. There is a religious purpose behind it to show you how the reality of life started and the elephants and all of that. You see in there, so you have a book that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected it. You have a sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it to you. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. Allah is teaching you. Muhammad, he taught his companions al-kitab wal-hikmah, the book of Allah and the sunnah. If you follow them, you're not going to be misguided at all. Don't get affected with these old theories. They're saying it's a theory, at the end it's not even reality. So I'm just trying to highlight something like that. We're now going back into as-sidq. As-sidq is a quality known from the start of the humans, long time ago. From the time of Adam alayhi salam, it is a correct quality for the humans to act with sidq. It is wrong for the human to act upon al-kadhib. Now, I'm going to just take you a little bit into something a little bit maybe hard to understand it, but it's good to know it. In Islam, we have what they call them al-mutakallimun. Mutakallimun, the scholars, they went into philosophy and went in deep of this information. They looked into what the the Greeks, they said about studying about the religion, about the God, and all of that. It translated that they use these principles in understanding the God and in understanding the faith, the aqidah. So they came into an issue. Let's think about this issue, just a scenario. Will a human, the mankind, will be judged of, if there is no religion, no Nabi, will be that person judged of him or her to follow what is good and to move away from what is bad? Now, we have views in Islam. A group of scholars, I'm not going to mention you names because I can't mention them because I don't want to confuse with names, but we have a group of people who are saying, no, there is no judgment at all for the humans because there is no Nabi and there's no Rasul and there is no consideration, listen to this, there is no consideration for anything is true or good or anything is lying or bad. I'm saying good or bad, it can be because this principle goes, we have it about the statement of sidq and kadhib, but go beyond that, let's say killing someone, saving the life of someone, stealing someone's wealth, protecting someone's wealth. So bad, good. These are the qualities. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if someone did that without the Sharia, the law of Allah, comes to that person and tells him, these are good things, do them, and these are bad things, avoid them. So this group of scholars in Islam, they're saying there is no judgment and there is no, listen to this, there is no consideration to anything good and bad. Before the Sharia, everything is equal. There is nothing bad or good. The second opinion, opposite of that completely. No, they said there is top consideration of everything good and bad because Allah gave you aql. Allah created, when He created you with aql. And before even the aql, Allah created you with the fitra. Al-fitra is the nature that inside you when you're created. Allah, Rasulullah said, He said, when the baby will be born, يولد المولود على الفطرة. He will be born on fitra. And then فأبواه, his parents, يهودانه أو ينصرانه أو يمجسانه. Who's going to take that baby from the fitra? Fitra is Islam, knowing that there is Allah, He's the one who should be worshipped and no one else. But however, his parents, they will take him from that fitrah, which is Islam, into Christianity, into Judaism, into something else. So that's the fitrah. They said, this group of scholars saying, no, Allah create us on fitrah. Allah create us with aql, that we think of it, we use it. So we should know what is good, we should do it. And what is bad, we should avoid it. Clear? Now, the correct opinion, and they will be judged for this. They said they will be judged for this. The correct opinion is the opinion of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. They said both of you said something wrong and something correct. And both of you incorrect in here. The right opinion is we consider the human before the Sharia received, the human should consider what is good and what is bad. The good recommended for them to do it, and the bad should avoid it, even if you don't have a Sharia. However, you're not going to be rewarded for that because the Sharia did not arrive to you yet. Rewarding will be based on Sharia. Punishment will be based on Sharia. However, as a human, you don't need to have a deen to tell you, well, go into this tissue, take all the tissues out and throw them on the carpet. If you have aql, you will not do that. You don't need to have qala Allahu, qala Rasulullah, don't throw the tissues on the carpet. You don't need that. The Sharia will tell you that. But so the first opinion and second opinion, they said statements. Some of it is correct, some of it is incorrect, and these are two views are incorrect. I'm saying this, you think about it as a simple issue, but when you study Aqidah, when you study Masail issue driven in Islam, these are one of the early issues that differ between three sects: Ash'ira, Mu'tazila, and Ahlus Sunnah. I don't want to confuse with you these names, but this is just came now to remind you Sulaiman long time ago, and before even Sulaiman, he reminded them of a sidq and al-kadhib. Is a human nature that we look and we're happy and we love something with sidq. Rasulullah was loved by Kuffar Quraysh because of what? His qualities. As-Sadiq al-Amin. We have a Sadiq there. As-Sadiq al-Amin. So As-Sadiq is one of the quality of Muhammad before he became a Nabi. When he was a youth in there amongst the Kuffar Quraysh, they call him As-Sadiq. And Al-Amin. Nature of the humans, they love that. They like it. And they move away from Al-Kadhab. Go to the other masters of Quraysh, they know they are liars. They know they are cheaters. They know that they are not honest people. And no one, Rasulullah until the day when he immigrated to Medina, one of the purposes of leaving Ali ibn Abi Talib there is to return back the amanat, the trust, the goods, and some stuff that was kept by Rasulullah to protect them to the people, because he was honest person. He was an Amin person. And so it is a quality that we need. And that's why Sulaiman said to that hudhud, Asadaqta am kunta min al-kadhibin. Adding it to that, just the last thing to add, really this topic really long and very, very important in Sharia to show you how our deen is strongly protected in terms of the hadith. I'm not talking about the Quran. The Quran is narrated and came to us with a tawatur, with no doubt about it. The hadith of Rasulullah, our ulama, the ulama of hadith, if a narrator lies, he says a lie for one time, even if it was small, that narrator will be considered as a kadhab. That narrator his hadith will be all rejected and will not be accepted. Now I'm saying this, even if he repented, even if he made a tawbah and he came back and he said, and that's what we expected from a Muslim, isn't it? From a Muslim to make a tawbah. Allahumma inni astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. I'm back into my correct way. I'm not going to lie anymore. We can't take hadiths from you. You lied once because this is a deen. This is a religion. This is a hadith of Rasulullah. You lied once, even if you made tawbah, we can't accept your hadith anymore. And to show you the hadiths, when we say authentic, and that's in Bukhari and Muslim and other resources, then you see the value of these hadiths for you, brothers and sisters. قال سننظر أصدقت أم كنت من الكاذبين. I try, as I said to you, with the ayah, not to look at get the lessons from that, and that's what I'm trying to add into the ayah. So I hope that you benefit from this. اذهب بكتابي هذا فألقه إليهم ثم تول عنهم فانظر ماذا يرجعون. Sulaiman alayhi salam, he believed that Hudhud, who was Sadiq, he was truthful in his statement, and because of that, he sent him now with a duty. He said, if you see, just as a matter of the way of reciting, can you see that I said to you last week, Alif? We say Alif as, but not really the letter with the Hamza. The first, the dagger Alif in there, we call Hamzat Wasl. In front of idhab, that is Hamzat Wasl. So when you are joining kadhibin adhab, when you're joining the ayah with the other ayah, will not be read. And the sign on top of it shown to you that letter, you don't read it if you are joining the word before it with the word after it. However, if, like in this case, the ayah ended with the word al-kadhibin, it's end of the ayah. A new ayah, you start with that. Is Hamzat Wasl. In the Arabic script, in the Uthmani script, the Medina Mus'haf, which is the Arab used like this one, there's no sign. Is it ud or e or a? They got confused, and that's like some people that like the Asian Mus'haf because they show you the vowel in there. So there are rules related to that, and that you studied inshallah in Tajweed, we studied that in, yeah. So you would read it with a kasra, e. So idhab. Idhab bi kitabi hada fa'alqih. He sent al-hudhud with the message. Idhab, go, bi kitabi, with my book. As we said last time, last lesson, the kitab is something written in there. It's a message. A message, and it means, will be called kitab, and in Arabic language or Sharia, whenever you say kitab, it means maktub. It means something written inside it. So, idhab bi kitabi hada means go, take in this book. This book. It's a book was handed and given to the al-hudhud, to the bird. فَأَلْقِهْ إِلَيْهِمْ. In this statement, my the brothers and sisters, Sulaiman, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed in this ayah, we have an action of Sulaiman, that he sent a kitab, a message to the queen of Saba. And as we said, the Mufassirun, they said her name is Bilqis. He showed who's taken that book, that message, how the book, it will be given to them. He said, فَأَلْقِهْ. And the scholars of Tafsir also went deep into that. They mentioned how the book was carried by the bird. And then later on, what is inside that book. So, idhab bi kitabi hada, the one who took the book is al-hudhud. How a bird who has two wings and a beak, how the book will be, the book usually in that old days is rolled and will look like that, not folded. That's how they do the books and during that time. How that will be taken, the scholars of Tafsir mentioned that, well, there are the two possibilities. There are three possibilities if you think about logically, but scholars of Tafsir mentioned two. Some Mufassirun, they said that al-hudhud, he took it with his beak, so he opened his mouth and he held it with that. And some other scholars, they said he put it under his wing. Why the third option? You know the third option, what is it? Think, with his clothes that he holded. Why that was not mentioned? See, now I'm just trying to read and give you some lessons on why that is not mentioned by the Mufassirun. Can someone tell me why? So option one, with his mouth, with his beak, which is dry, he can hold it like that. It's because big. Al-hudhud has got big ones. You know al-hudhud that's too long, and it's like a needle, and it's so long. He hold it with that. The other option, he hold it with his one of his wings with feathers in there. The third option, the third scenario possibly, unless if there's a fourth one maybe, but only three in there, he will hold it with his two clothes in there. Why that is not mentioned? Excellent. Because disrespectful. You cannot hold, you're going to have later on, إنه من سليمان وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. There's بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم in that kitab. A kitab written by a Nabi, a message, important message, to take it to the other one, and you hold it with your feet, with your leg. That's disrespectful. So because of that, the Mufassir, although we don't have that information in the Quran, the scholars of Tafsir, the Tabi'un and those, they commentated about the ayah, they mentioned these two possibilities, but not the third one, because out of respect, al-hudhud will not do that. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala generally, He mentioned to us in the Quran. He said, وَمَن يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِن تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Ta'zeem, to glorify the sha'air. Anything related to the deen, to Allah, you need to glorify it. Qibla, the direction of the Qibla, we're not allowed to spit direct to Qibla. We're not allowed to urinate, to pass stools, to put our legs and to disrespect the side of the Qibla, because the Qibla is glorified direction for us as a Muslims. The book of Allah, the Quran, you should not put it in the floor all the time, is high. So there are many actions that you need to think about them. This out of ta'zeem, out of respect to that book. And that's what also happening here. So اذهب بكتابي هذا. Now he said فألقه. Then when you get there, فألقه. ألقه means, if you look into the literal meaning of the word ألقه, it means throw it. And in some narration, that's what happened. They said, I'm going to mention to you what mentioned in the books of tafsir, but please do not attribute that to Rasulullah because they're not statement of Rasulullah, statement of a tabi'een, and these statements are taken maybe from the Ahlul Kitab and the views of the tabi'een. They said the Al-Hudhud, when he arrived back to Saba, to the empire of Saba in Yemen, it said that he went, Bilqis, the queen, in her room, she has got her room, she's got it was said that she's got a window, that window higher in the wall, it will be, because she used to be the sun worshipper. That sun, it will be two windows, one when the sun rise up and when the sun will disappear. So they said when the sun comes out, that's when she will be seeing it there, and she used to worship the sun. The Al-Hudhud came in this journey and he covered that window and she could not see her God. And at the time he threw the book of Sulaiman on front between her hand, and she saw the book of Sulaiman, and then she read it, as we'll be seeing that inshallah later in the following ayah. The second narration that narrated by the tabi'een, the tabi'een as well, they said the queen or the ruler of Saba, she was amongst her al-mala, amongst her senior people, and the bird came flying until she came in front of her, and he threw that book in front of her and she read it to them. Allahu Alam, but we know that Al-Hudhud, he fulfilled the message, the duty. He went to Bilqis and he gave her the book because Allah mentioned that she received it and she read it. فَأَلْقِهْ إِلَيْهِمْ. However, let me go into as a lesson that we learn for the word alqi. A bird is a bird. At the end, you can't, it's a bird. Maybe he will stop somewhere and he will put the book on front of the person. Maybe that happened, we don't have that details. However, when you hand over something to the other person, Rasulullah ﷺ said, Al-akhdhu wal-ata'u bil-yamin. When you take something and when you give something, has to be with your right hand. And when you take something and give something is all the time out of respect. You don't give the back to the person, you don't show that you are arrogant, but one of the most important quality in taking something and giving something, we need to use our right hand. This left hand is all the time there. Don't take something with the left hand from a person. I'm giving you a phone, take it with your right hand. I'm giving to you with the right hand. And don't use your left hand in taking and giving. So, but a bird like Al-Hudhud, no right and no left, is a bird. So the best way for him is to stand somewhere and to put it on the ground, on the table, on the floor, something like that. So this is something that teach your children when you're handing something, because a child is a child. When he becomes used to the left hand, or when you used to use the left hand to give something, that will becomes a habit. And these are habits. If we have become used to it, it becomes into us. You can't change it. Or it will be hard to change it. Remember, giving something with the right hand, taking something with the left hand. Don't say to me, this is silly excuses. Oh, my right hand is maybe busy. Or I have two things. You have two things. You want to give both of them. Yeah. This. There are silly excuses. I heard them from some brothers and sisters. Oh, I have two things to give them. So how am I going to give them both of them my right hand? Well, give the first one and give the second one. As our shaykh, they used to say, for those who are drinking with their left hand, he said, why don't you drink from your right hand? Allah gave you your right hand to drink from it. Use it for your eating and drinking. He said, my hand is because it was eating. We were eating rice. He said, it's dirty. Don't make the cup dirty. He said, make the cup dirty. Don't make the sunnah of Rasulullah dirty with your action. I'm saying here, take your right hand and left hand with better than to make the sunnah of Rasulullah dirty. So, فَأَلْقِهْ إِلَيْهِمْ ثُمَّ, and he said, إِلَيْهِمْ. إِلَيْهِمْ here means to all of them, because the message will be received by Bilqis is not for the queen herself. It's the whole ummah of Saba. The whole nation of Saba, not just one person in there. ثم تولى عنهم, and then move away from them. ثم تولى, التولي, when you're giving the back to the person, that's tawalli and i'rad. Has more than one meaning, but in this context of this ayah, it means move away from that position, from that scene in front of the queen. ثم تولى عنهم, and what you should do, he said, فانظر ماذا يرجعون. Look, return, go back and watch what they are going to do. فانظر, look, ماذا يرجعون, what they are going to do. يرجعون, what they're going to return to. يرجعون, you go return into one decision, into one action, and see what they are going to do with this message. So that is the ayah. From here also, my dear brothers and sisters, to show us that a Muslim, a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, should have, the life is all da'wah. The life is you enjoy your life from day one until you go to the grave. But within that you enjoyment, that you living the life, there has to be da'wah in there. Look, Anbiya Allah, he sent straight away a book, and he made a da'wah. He sent it into, because he was not aware of that empire of Saba. As soon as he heard about them, he sent them a book, a da'wah, inviting them into, as we're going to learn now in the following ayah, inviting them into worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is permissible, it is not just permissible, it's recommended for the ruler, it's recommended the one who's responsible to send books, to send invitation to the others, to call them to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to call them to the da'wah, to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is, as we did talk about it in maybe previous lessons, the da'wah is important for someone who is in charge, someone who is has that duty. And in here we have the rule of the whole ummah, as Rasulullah during his time, Sulaiman. And then after that, the khulafa, the rulers of the Muslims. Even below that, if amongst you and your organization, you give a da'wah, try to make a da'wah in the right way, of course, with no harming yourself or creating any problems. So that is something that we learned from here. Rasulullah did that. As soon as Rasulullah, his da'wah at the beginning was in person. He used to go to the tribes, he used to go to the gatherings of the people, and used to call them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he made his estate in Medina, he started sending messages to the empires, to the Al-Furs, to the Persian Empire, to the Roman Empire, to even went to Egypt, to Alexandria. So he sent messages everywhere, and that is the da'wah. That is the duty for Rasulullah, and then the khulafa after him. Your duty as well is to give a da'wah to the others. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it upon us to call to Islam. Otherwise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring other people who will be better than us, and they will fulfill the deen of Allah. Okay, let's move to the following ayah. قالت يا أيها الملأ إني ألقي إلي كتاب كريم. Now she received the book. قالت, can you see now قالت? Earlier was قالة. قالت he, because the one who said the statement is a female, and that is Bilqis, the queen of Saba. قالت, she said. And what she said, يا أيها الملأ, this is her statement. يا أيها الملأ إني ألقي إلي كتاب كريم. First, this ayah indicates and gives us one of the important matters or action that the ruler, the one who's in charge, need to consider. What is it? Is, as you're saying in Urdu, mashwara, shura, having a shura, having the consultation. Well, I'll talk about that inshallah after finishing the ayah, because there are rules related to that. She said, Ya ayyuhal mala, O mala. What is al-mala? Al-mala, the word mala used a lot in the Quran, used in the story of Fir'aun, Ya ayyuhal mala'u, used in here the story of Sulaiman, Ya ayyuhal mala'. Al-mala', it means the senior people. Al-mala', referring to the senior people. You are not going to have a consultation with the public who they are not knowledgeable, they don't have much knowledge in matters that related that, or you want to make a decision about it. The consultation is only with the senior people, the people with the qualities, the people who are as a mala. So you're having a decision, you want to make a decision, which is related to the whole ummah, then you need to make, you're going to come into your mala and consult them. There's a misunderstanding from many people that in the communities everywhere here and there, even amongst, our back home Muslim countries, oh, there is no shura, system in there. Or they want the ruler to come and consult you with a full respect to A and B person who is not maybe even past a GCSE. Doesn't maybe even person doesn't even have to write one piece of paper in a correct way. Someone maybe doesn't know how to make 3 sentences together in a correct way. So it's not everyone, the consultation in here, not for everyone. Rasulullah used to consult the senior Sahaba, and the same thing with the Anbiya of Allah, like in here. The story, even the others, non-Muslims, like in the story in here, they consult their mala. Al-mala are the senior people. Who are the senior? You're bringing your close friends, or you're bringing people who are not deserved to be there. That's something different. That's something different that will be judged in a different way. But because I'm referring in here into the time of some of the Khulafa, or some Muslim states like the Umayyads or like the Abbasis, where scholars are there, are not consulted, but they consulted army rulers or commanders or other people who are maybe should not be consulted, maybe should not be in there. But that's a different matter. The matter here need to establish the rule. When there is a consultation, it will be for the senior people, the people who are deserved to be consulted because of their knowledge, because of what they have. And so when they give an opinion, they give a right opinion. قالت يا أيها الملأ. She could not make a decision by herself, because that's the second point. Second point, consultation, it comes in a decision that related into the whole ummah. If something related to whether I'm going to have, sometimes please don't take it as a planned information. Sometimes information comes at the time when I'm talking. So my example sometimes comes maybe silly. I'm going to use an example for making food, but I'll change something, a different example. Came to my mind like that. The point I want to say in here, not every matter will be consulted about it. Don't expect the ruler, the one who's in charge, he will go in everyday matters. Oh, shall I put the light on? Yes, no. What? Ya ayyuhal mala'u. Oh, people, shall I do it? No, yes or no. It doesn't work like that. Life will not go ahead with this. Imagine you ruler in your Muslim country, for everything he's going to consult you, for everything. No, he was there because he was trusted. He was there because he qualified to be there. Give him the chance to do whatever that suits. He thinks that it suits you and good for you. Did you get my point? Now here, she came into a decision that related the whole ummah. We get to see that later on in the message of Sulaiman. It means that we are going to change our religion, oh my people. From being sun worshippers, we're going to be worshippers of one God, and we have to be followers of Sulaiman instead of you're following me. It's a great decision. It's not an easy decision. Has to be the whole ummah. She has to be there. She needs to consult the al-mala, and she can't make that decision by herself. And that's the wise and the right person. And to show you also, our mufassirun, they say, scholars, Bilqis, she was a wise and a really a person used the logic, and she was a clever, a smart person, as we have also in the other surahs when Allah subhanahu mentioned her when she entered, and which we don't have it. When she entered into the palace of Sulaiman, she left her dress up because she thought that there's a water, but there's no water. That Sulaiman alayhi salam's palace, and was all glass, and underneath of that you see all water. Imagine that's in dunya, but imagine that in Jannah. She got shocked because she went in, she thought that there's water, she doesn't want to wet herself. She left her dress up, her garment up. And then he said, oh, no, you don't get to be wet because that's underneath of your feet. And when Al-Hudhud came to Sulaiman, he said to him, وَأُوتِيَتْ مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Do you remember? She got everything, a very powerful, very beautiful empire. But she did not get same as Sulaiman. And remember the principle that I mentioned to you before, brothers and sisters, that any Nabi, whatever that Nabi received from Allah, Muhammad got better than that. Because Muhammad got the best in all the Anbiya. And we went, I remember one of the lessons of this Saturday, we went and we named each Nabi with what Allah gave him, and we showed you what Allah gave to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, better than what that Nabi received from Allah. So maybe inshallah other occasion we will talk about that. So here, going back into the consultation, first thing that consultation is a good practice for the rulers, for those who are in charge. Second thing, you consult for important matters, not for the daily basis, for something simple that he or she needs to make a decision about it. Thirdly, is the consultation not for everyone in the ummah, is only for al-mala. That is, now a third one, I think we did talk about it previously at the beginning when the story of al-Hudud, that's before we stopped for the break. We talked about a female being a ruler. We did talk about that. So inshallah you can go back into the old recording, because we talked about a female to be in charge of an ummah, an organization, a place. We talked about that, so please revise that before in the previous recording. قالت يا أيها الملأ إني ألقي إلي. I was giving, surely indeed I was giving, ألقي إلي, to me, كتاب كريم, a kitab, a message. I received a message. See, describe that kitab as Kareem. The ulama went into views and having great discussion about the word Kareem. Why did Bilqis describe the book of Sulaiman as Kareem? She opened it, she read it, and she gave a description straight away. And that is what we call it insaf. Insaf to someone who will be fair with everyone. Sometimes when we have an enemy, when we have someone who's against us, or someone who is we're not happy with, we go into al-dhulm. لا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم على ألا تعدلوا اعدلوا هو أقرب للتقوى. Allah commanded us, don't get the matter that you are in when you have an enmity with someone, with other team, with other group, with other nation, that you go beyond the limit and you don't make adl. اعدلوا, have adl. إنه أقرب التقوى. That is a taqwa. And here, she was told to come to me and follow me and believe in Allah. And she could have said no, she could have said anything. She described that book as a Kareem. She got that quality of really wise and important lady. And it was said, by the way, that Sulaiman married to her. That's one. We don't have an evidence, but it was said that Sulaiman married to her. And Allah knows best. So describe the Kitab Kareem. First opinion between the scholars, and I would say opinion, although these opinions, they are all, we can merge them and we can use them, they will be all correct, inshallah. First, they said because the book start with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. A book starting with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim would be called Kareem. That's the first opinion that I would highlight, and the scholars of Tafsir mentioned it. And supports that, Rasulullah said in a statement, أي كتاب أي أمر لا يبدأ فيه ببسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فهو أجدع فهو أقطع. Any book, any matter, you would not start it with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, then that matter, that book is ajda' aqta', is not complete, is not perfect, is not nice. And if it's not perfect, it's not nice, it means it's not Kareem. So that's why she described that book as Kareem, because start with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So make sure whenever you start your matters, when you start a book, you start something, say Bismillah. The minimum of that. Oh, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, for your knowledge, in early days in Islam, when he used to write his books, he used to say, Bismika Allahumma. Bismika Allahumma, by your name, O Allah. That's what it means in English. Bismika Allahumma. Then later on, when the ayah of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim was revealed, he started writing in his books, in his messages, full Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in full. So the Khulafa after Rasulullah, they started following the Sunnah of Rasulullah all the time with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in their books. That's the first opinion. Second opinion, they said, because the message of Sulaiman that was sent to her was stamped and signed by Sulaiman. and that's why called Kareem. And some Mufassirun, the narrated hadith, I'm not sure, I'm going to mention the hadith, I did not make my analysis for that to show, to check whether it's authentic or not. The saying, whatever a book that was not stamped, means maktub, فهو أقطع فهو أجدع. They mention that, but I'm not sure about the authenticity of this hadith. It means a book without a stamp, without signing of the one who wrote the book, then it will not be counted as a perfect book, as a good book. And because of that, she described the book of Sulaiman Kareem, because Sulaiman signed his book and he put the stamp on his book, on his message. And this opinion also supported by the action of Rasulullah, as the scholars said. Rasulullah, in the first book that he wrote, he was advised by his companions. They said, Ya Rasulullah, in al-muluka, the kings and the rulers, they have akhtam, they have stamps, they have something they use to sign their books. If you send your book without it, it will not be considered. So Rasulullah, he had for himself, as you know, his khatam, his ring, and in there it says Muhammad Rasulullah, not Muhammad Rasulullah. Muhammad Rasulullah. Why? The word Allah is on top. Can you see again? Small thing, but that's respect. That's to show, glorifying. وَمَن يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِن تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Ta'zeem. You need to make a ta'zeem to anything that relates to Allah. Muhammad Rasulullah. If you put Muhammad, Muhammad will be on top of the name of Allah. That's disrespectful. It might be not intentionally, but it's not something that Muhammad taught us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, taught us all the good things. So he made that khatam and he started Rasulullah using it for all his messages. Now, because we're talking about this, let me expand a bit. I'm going to come back into the other opinions about the word Kareem. Is it a sunnah for us to use a ring and to wear it for the males? Might be for the females as well. It's not a sunnah ta'abbudiyya. In my opinion, it's not a sunnah of ibadah. Meaning, if you wear it, you'll be getting a reward of Allah because you're wearing that. As I'm praying Salat al-Duha, as I'm praying Sunnah of the Dhuhr, or this or that, the ibadah that we know them. It's not a Sunnah ta'abbudiyya. We have two types of Sunnah. Sunnah of ibadah, a Sunnah of aada. Aada is a habit. Rasulullah did it for one purpose. If you are a ruler, if you are a prince, someone you want to use as a khatam, then do that. That's fine. You can't have a ring, that's fine. You can't do that. But don't say to me, I'll be rewarded for that. You might be rewarded for loving Rasulullah, that's fine. But that's different matter, but not for because of that ring. This is not a sunnah of ibadah, and therefore you'll see among some nations in Muslims, they have big stones, big this, expensive things. I don't know. It's not from the sunnah of Rasulullah. And there's no evidence to prove. And some people, they wear these stones, are saying that cures from that sickness, cures from that sickness. I don't know. It might be same as the ta'aweez. People are wearing this, it will be similar in the ta'aweez that people are wearing them. It's better for the person to wear Ayatul Kursi as ta'aweez than to have a stone. I'm not saying you are allowed to have that ta'aweez, that tamima, called tamima, but it's better, Quran, books of Allah, words of Allah, than a stone. And you having a belief in it that cures you from this, cures you from that. So it's a big difference. So going back into Kitab al-Kareem, so that's two opinions. They said Kareem because of its language, because of its information. That's a third opinion. It's Kareem because what is mentioned in there. She was kind of amazed with Bismillahir Rahman, in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most, then the rest of the message, which is a very, very short. And because of what is inside it, they consider that as Kareem. And third, the fourth opinion they said, which is, I left it for the last one because it's maybe, Allahu Alam, is the weakest opinion. They said because it's from Sulaiman. It's from a person who's a Nabi, who's known to her, and because of that, she called it as Kareem. And Allah knows best. Okay, إِنَّهُ مِن سُلَيْمَانَ وَإِنَّهُ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ. Now, she told them from whom that she received this message. She said, إِنَّهُ, it's from Sulaiman. She did not say Sulaiman ibn Dawood, because Sulaiman was known to her, was a powerful king, very well known to her. Although Sulaiman did not know her, but she knew, she knew about Sulaiman. She said, Innahu min Sulaiman, it's from Sulaiman. Wa innahu, and it is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allah ta'lu alayya wa'tuni muslimin. If you remember, if you studied Tajweed, that end of each ayah, it's an ayah, it's a separate information, and then we have a new ayah. In this, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and the following ayah, 31, so part of 30 is from what Sulaiman wrote. Sulaiman wrote there, Min Sulaiman, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Allah ta'lu alayya wa tuni muslimin. So the rest of the message is in the following ayah. Don't take only the word Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim was mentioned in that message. Qatada, Mujahid, a number of scholars of tafsir from the Tabi'in's time, they said Bilqis, what she mentioned in here, that what Sulaiman wrote for her. Sulaiman did not write more than these two lines. Min Sulaiman, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Allah ta'lu alayya wa'tuni muslimin. That's all what he wrote, alayhi salam. And she quoted what she saw in that message. And that is the habit, and that is the practice of the Anbiya of Allah. They write short messages and the meaning is great. Look into a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, utiya jawami' al-kalim, as he said about himself. Jawami' al-kalim, he used a short sentence, it gives a great meaning. إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. Short hadith, great meaning. You know the 40 hadiths of Imam al-Nawawi. The 40 hadiths of Imam al-Nawawi, that's a lot of ahadiths in there. There are great ahadiths, are from Jawami' al-Kalim. Short ahadiths, great meaning. The whole deen, it can be explained in there. And that's his short message and great meaning in there. We write nowadays, we have to write 3 pages to explain one matter. Because that's how we are nowadays. We have to expand, we have to go about everything, we have to spell things out to everyone to make people not to misunderstand you. Otherwise, they will go out, oh, I thought this, oh, I thought that, oh, I thought this. Then, Innahu min Sulaiman, it's from Sulaiman, and Innahu Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I'm not going to explain to you Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim because we explained a number of times before, and you all know that. However, just quick ahkam for that, as we said before, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim should be used in all the times and should be at the beginning of your actions. So there are some occasions where Rasulullah said Bismillah only, and some occasions where Rasulullah said Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So when Rasulullah used Bismillah, I'm just want to emphasize on this, and alhamdulillah, I think most of you knows because many times we talked about this. Follow the sunnah of Rasulullah. Don't show to Rasulullah you know more than him. At the beginning of eating, Rasulullah says Bismillah, and you go and say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So you know more than Rasulullah, or Rasulullah knows more than you. Rasulullah said Bismillah, and you go and say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. You say that in full. Rasulullah, before he entered the toilet, he said Bismillah, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubthi wal khaba'ith. And you go and say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Are you the one who making the religion, or Rasulullah made us the religion, taught us from Rasulullah? Are you the one who knows more than him, or he knows more than you? You're telling us you're practicing something that Rasulullah did not practice it. So stick on what Rasulullah did. He said Bismillah, say Bismillah. Don't say Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Although it's a good word, but adhkar, my dear brothers and sisters, the adhkar has to be said in the same way as Rasulullah said them. Dua, 2 types. If you're making the dua of Rasulullah, say it as he said it. If you're saying your own dua, you have from here until Scotland. Add any sentence you want to make it. Make whatever you want to make, because that's your dua. But you're using dua of Rasulullah, use it in the same way as he said it. Adhkar, dhikr, whether morning or evening, say it as Rasulullah said it as well. So you need to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah. So he said, Innahu min Sulaiman wa innahu Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We will leave the last ayah, Allah ta'alu alayya wa atuni muslimin, inshallah next week, because we finished the time. I hope that in what we said was beneficial. If I said something correct, that's from Allah. If I said something incorrect, that's from myself and my shaitan. May Allah forgive me. And astaghfirullah for all my mistakes. Allah knows best. And that's the end of the lesson.